Welcome to the Predictive Playbook. I'm your host, John Ryan, and I am pleased to have DJ Big Boss in the house early for him. He's a West Coast guy out of Southern California, but nobody knows the Southern California pulse of sports better than DJ does. Welcome to the show, DJ. How's the morning going for you out there?
It's great, man. I already had my coffee. I'm feeling great. I'm on my water now. Coffee then water. But always a pleasure. Come hang out with you, John Ryan. Tuned in. About to go ahead and retweet the show. Make sure everybody know we on right now. And
Yeah.
let's get the rocking and rolling, man. How's it been going for you this week?
So far, we're off to a great start. The 4:30 show, which is the kind of the flagship show with Rob Vito and Tony Finn. We went 5-0 with our best bets. That also included Adam from Top Flight Sports. He was a special guest from Sports Memo. So yeah, that part went good, and lost with the Phillies last night personally, and had the Suns. Did a little live betting on the Lakers game, but the idea was to catch 223 on the total in game, 223 and a half, and it never got there because the game started out pretty methodically. But the overall play, best bet was the under, which we had several systems and to back that up on the show. So it recaps everything that goes on during the day. Like I'll recap some of the stuff that you said on this show and so on and so forth until we get to that final. It's called Manny's Pub. It's like guys stopping by the bar and just chilling, talking. Just talking. Talking the sports breeze, so to speak. But I did want to mention something too, which I think is really amazing. At least I think it's amazing. And I'm wearing this Lakers shirt for you. This shirt has to be at least 25 years old, by the way.
Wow,
So
wow.
it was in my archived, with all my baseball jerseys and all my college stuff, and kind of nuts. But in honor of you, DJ.
There
But
you go.
Michael Jordan, 35 years ago this day, scored 63 points at the Boston Garden and lost 135-131 in double overtime. In a season that the Boston Celtics only lost one home game that season. They obviously won the World Championship in 1986. And what I found amazing with this performance was not necessarily the 63, but the fact that he took 0 3-point shots. 0. The Bulls as a team attempted 2 and made none. The Celtics attempted 9, made 3. Larry Bird was responsible for going 2 for 5 from 3-point land. So, just last night, Steph Curry comes into Philadelphia and he goes 10 for 17, which by himself, he eclipsed both teams in that 1986 monumental effort by Michael Jordan. And I just was like, whoa. So then I thought of our good buddy that I know you like, Ben Simmons, and everybody in the Philadelphia region continues to complain that he doesn't shoot threes. He doesn't have a jump shot. Well, there you go. And I'm sorry, but if a guy can get to the rim like Simmons is starting to do, that percentage he's shooting, I think, is like close to 58% on the season. I'd rather have that than 22% from beyond the arc. So, it just
but
shows you don't have to do that.
a lot of people always consider skill set. Like, basketball to me, ever since Dennis Rodman, he was living proof, right? Like, he came in and made the difference on several teams, won several different championships. You don't have to do all that. If you could specialize in different areas, even when you talk about Curry, him
Yeah.
specializing in shooting the 3-point like that, there's different parts to the game, and definitely you can come in and dominate. Look at Shaq. I mean, some of the greats all specialize in one area of the game, and it definitely didn't all happen because of the 3-point line. But they're always trying to talk some up. That makes other players look better and other players look worse. But at the end of the day, it's all about W's. You know what I mean?
Yep, yep. I can't agree more. It's amazing. It's 35 years ago, and I remember that game.
Man,
And
I
if I
was
remember
in.
correctly, I think he had the flu. That'd be interesting if anybody in the chat room can confirm that. Even if you're watching the archived version, you can always comment. Because I think he was taking fluids at halftime, if I remember correctly. He was a pretty sick pup. But,
Yeah.
kind of a neat little anniversary trivia for the
Yeah,
day.
I think in '86 I was like 9 or something, man. So
But
I
yeah, I was 8.
and when I was 9, I grew up in South Central in '86. It was wild back then, stay in the
Oh, I
house when the
bet.
street lights come on and all that. So I did enjoy watching a lot of sports. And when I was a kid, I was a sports fanatic, man. I'll tell people now that I don't really have a lot of sports memorabilia for, of course I got some Notre Dame stuff, but I don't really have a lot because when I was a kid, I just overindulged in it, man. Like I was a real student of the sport when I was a kid. Basketball, baseball, football, every time because I had to stay off them streets. But yeah, '86 that's going back a little days. That's going
Yeah,
back there.
it sure is. That was basically in the beginning of his career.
And that
Yeah,
was a whole different Michael Jordan. I don't think a lot of people nowadays are really in touch to who that Michael Jordan was. When the story is told, Phil Jackson had to coach it. He had to coach it and bring it all together. Back then, Jordan was just raw talent. He used to get all kinds of flack for being a ball hog, this, ball hog that, ball hog this. So that's a whole nother Jordan. I don't think people can relate to today.
yeah, I agree. It just shows how different the NBA is. It's evolved. It's the players are bigger and stronger. There's a lot of differences in the evolution
Oh
of the NBA
man.
game.
Hey, that's like the barbershop talk all the time. The biggest arguments is the difference between the old school and the new school of basketball. The old school would say, that the refs called too many fouls and all that. And then I'm like you, I agree with the new school. Sometimes like they regimen of what they jumps have to be measured. They taking clocks, back in some of the old schools like Julius Irvin and some of them guys didn't even work out in the summer. Like they got it together a month before the season, and wasn't they just specialized in what they did. Nobody cared how high they can jump. They just played the game of basketball. But I mean, it's
Yep.
a lot to say about that because even the game of basketball that they play, because it didn't have all that many regiments, it was more intense as a game. But now, because you have so much money, so much regiment, like if this guy is 7 foot and I can get him to shoot the 3 point and dunk the ball, and that's that much more value in today's game. Back in the day, they probably just boom one time, and they sit the 7 foot man down a little bit.
Yep. You know it, man. And it's so different. And that's why the debate on who the greatest player of all time is so polarizing because one of the factors is that you watch a highlight. I'm sure there'll be highlights to watch today of Jordan 63 at the Garden, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. Can you imagine Jordan calling up Larry Bird and saying, come play with me at Chicago? Can
yeah,
you imagine what Larry Bird would have said to him? I mean,
yeah.
it would have been so insulting that we can't even say what we thought he
That
might say on
yeah,
the air.
that could go all kinds of ways
Yep,
back then.
yep,
But
and
yeah,
it probably
today,
was not likely. It wasn't likely that Jordan was ever going to make that phone call either. And
oh no,
in
Jordan was
reverse
way too
order,
cocky.
yeah,
From what we learned from the little write up they did in the little presentation they had on ESPN, the type of player Jordan he probably would never either. That was a stalemate right there.
yep,
He was
too
hard.
much pride.
Yeah, he was hard on the players that played with
Yep,
him. They said so.
yep,
That's. But another dynamic to that back in the day when Julius Irvin and all them played, it was great if you had one good guy on the team that could carry the team and be the star and all that. And then when Jordan and Pimpin came along, then and Isaiah and it became the 1-2 punch. And it took two strong players to lead you to the championship. Now it takes three, and it's on its way to taking four.
That's
They're
right.
just piling up the
Yep.
superstars, and but yeah, in some respect, it has a lot to do with money, and it curves the game in a way that's far away from what we learned the game to be. But it is what it is. For us sports bettors, it's great. Come on with it. Let's what we gonna do? Score more points because I'm gonna take less points, and or they gonna score less points and I'm gonna take more points, and so it's all good for us.
Yeah. Yeah. It's awesome, man. So let's take a look at the baseball card here. I know one of the games you're looking at is occurs at 9:38 when the Texas Rangers, who are 8-9, 5-3 away, they have Jordan Lyles on the mound, and he's already matched his win total from last season. I think he was 1-7 last season. He's 1-0, 4.70 ERA. They're taking on the host is the Angels. They're 8-6, 5-3 at home. Otani, 1.93 ERA, is going to be on the hill, and it's always exciting when he's throwing. He did bat second in his start, his first start earlier this year, which was April 4th. But he hasn't pitched since because he has had this ongoing issue, and it was an issue last year as well, and the year before that with a blister on his finger. He did pitch 92 pitches in the first start. So, obviously he's rested. The blister is healed, and he should be able to go. The talk is that he'll be kept on a 75 pitch limit to make sure that blister does not come back again. And let's see, Lyles is pitching a heck of a lot better than he did last year. He actually was 1-6 with a 7.02 ERA in 12 starts, in 12 games. I'm sorry, 9 of those were starts in the 2020 season. But obviously, it's made some serious off-season adjustments and took advantage of that during the pandemic when there was no baseball. So, as far as I'm concerned, you can take Lyle's historical stats and minimize them. I mean, they're just outliers at this point based on how different a starting pitcher he is. So, off the top, I think you have a pretty good bet on this game. I can see an under occurring here because the public, when they see, Anaheim. Well, actually, I call it Anaheim, but it's Los Angeles Angels.
Yeah,
They play in Anaheim, and it's always been
absolutely.
Anaheim to me.
They are
But
the
Mike
Anaheim
Trout,
Angels.
yeah, Mike Trout comes to mind, and you automatically think over. You look at Texas, and you automatically think over. So, conceptually at least, I would think you're probably thinking of some kind of bet with the under. Is that right?
Yeah, that's where I'm leading, man. But here in LA, man, we can't just let the Angels in on the LA name. The Dodgers is Los Angeles. They still the Anaheim Angels to me, even though they made that technical change to make them the Los Angeles Angels. Everyone, even the people in Anaheim would accept them as the Anaheim Angels. So you can say it. It's okay. You got to pass. Like Anaheim Angels, whatever. It got an A anyway. It goes together. But in this game right here, man, the way I see it, and when you got players like these are the players that make small adjustments on the off season and come in and do a little better than they did before. We've seen it happen with Kershaw. We've seen it happen with so many pitchers in the past. Now, this guy haven't gave up a run in the first inning for the last 3 games. So I'm definitely siding on his side that he's gonna lock it down at least for 1 inning. Now the Angels, on the other hand, with Otani coming right here, I'm feeling the same way. He, is so much rhetoric behind Otani. He's a great athlete, a great player, a great pitcher, and then we also know he can hit, right? But him coming in first inning, I believe he'll be focused. I think he knows, everything's on him. And I think he'll give me some bang for my buck, and he'll do his best that first inning to get the no score first inning minus 120.
I like that a lot. I like that an awful lot. And would you bet under the first five?
I'm not really interested in going too far in the game, and that's why I picked that spot because Angels somehow in the late innings either decide to either gain runs or give up runs, and a lot of their games go over. That's why it opens so high. But the public has jumped in a little bit, took it down a little bit. So I mean that's all with the best of Otani, and we already know Lyles is doing pretty solid. But to me, now you got Otani as a batting threat as well, so it could become a little seesaw game. So I don't want to really play too much into the full game total with the Angels, but I just see and that's the only way I can pick these first inning no scores is if I see that angle just opening up wide right there. You got a great pitcher. He's serious about what he's doing in Laos. You got a pitcher on the other side that's just stacked with media and attention, and everybody's looking. And can we get 3 outs apiece in the first inning? That's all I need. I'll leave it alone. At 120, that's the best bet I could make on the board. It's already minus 185 if you want to take the Angels. I'm sure they're not giving you that over and under unless it's like minus 110 or so. Could be more, but taking minus 120 right here in baseball, first inning, get in and get out.
Oh, I love it, DJ. That's a great bet. I'm going to write that one down here because that will get mentioned on the 4:30 show for sure. So no score first inning in the Angels. Terrific. Now let's move on to this Dodgers team that they suck. They lost 2 in a row now. I mean,
It had to happen. It had to happen. Come
like,
on, it's baseball. We know what goes on in baseball. But I
it's
had
just
already I had already jumped off the train. I had jumped off the Dodger train. How many are you gonna give it? Like I'll give them once they get to 7 or 8. If I've been riding the train since maybe 3 or 4 wins, and they get to 7 or 8, I didn't turn my money 3 4 times. It's time to leave it alone. Just be smart about it. You know what I mean? It's just like the stock market. You gotta know when to sell the stock.
yep, absolutely. I'll run through a few little stats of this matchup. You have Urias is pitching. He's already 2-0, 3.86 ERA, so he gets a lot of run support in those 2 starts. This is his 3rd one. Seattle counters with Marco Gonzalez, who's 1-1, ERA 8.22. You don't want to ever face a team like the Dodgers with an ERA of 8.22, even though it's over 2 starts.
Yeah.
They're Seattle's 11-6. Very very good start to the season. 13-4 for the Dodgers. Dodgers are 11-6 on the run line. 13-4 for Seattle, which is very impressive. Over and under for Seattle 9-7. And surprisingly, well, not really surprisingly, the under for the Dodger games is 11-6, and that reflects the public, over irrational exuberance with the fact that the Dodgers are going to score 10 runs every single game. So being contrarian with these elite teams, especially the offense, is going to pay off. Let's see. The Dodgers have not been an underdog, and goodness knows when they will be. If they stay healthy, we talked about this on the 4:30 show, quite a bit last week. They could go the whole season and not be an underdog, unless something happens to one of their starters. But I mean, they have Bellinger out. When he comes back, it's going to unfortunately take injuries.
Add some more wood to the. Hey, we added more wood to the fire. It's going to blow up over there.
And and the wood is reflected in the betting line too. A lot of times they're going to be minus 200 on the road against some of these teams. Like Colorado.
Yeah.
I mean, we could be watching one of the best teams in the history of baseball and not even know it yet.
Yeah,
But in terms of edges, runs per game, Dodgers ranked third, scoring 5.471. Seattle does a nice job too. They're 11th for 4.35. What else do I have? Run differential per game. The Dodgers are outscoring their opponents by a ridiculous 2.176 runs per
yeah.
game, and that's after two losses. Yeah, their batting is fifth best in the league at 256. They're fourth best with 8.8 hits per game. They're hitting 1.35 home runs. Seattle is 23rd in hits per game, getting seven. What else can I tell you here? That's good. Opponent hits per game out of the bullpen. So Seattle's bullpen actually ranks second best, allowing 2.3 hits per game by their bullpen pitchers. That's the only stat out of all of these, and there's about 15 that I have in front of me that I put together that favors Seattle. So there's seven, eight. There's 12 categories that favor the Dodgers and one that favors Seattle. So, what do you think about this game, DJ?
Hey, I know you love crunching those numbers, and I know you're a great numbers guy, but I'm talking about the elements. This early start time, I mean, they're only going up to Seattle. There's no real time difference change. So it's just like playing a Tuesday game at 1 o'clock. If you think that
Right.
if you think I'm up early on the show, how early do you think they had to be up to prepare for this? And they happen to be on the road. They're coming off an immaculate start, even though they dropped 2 games. We don't know how they feeling right here. So I would say that there's more value on taking Seattle if you're looking for a hot edge in this one. Because if you're not going to take Seattle, then you're going to take the Dodgers on the run line. I mean, Urias is one of the best pitchers, so I like
Yep.
Urias. I like the Dodgers winning with Urias. Can't really see him taking a loss, but anything can happen. You know what I mean? He is the guy to come try to straighten this out a little bit, but anything can happen in baseball. Um, if they go 2 in a row, let's say they do on a 4 game slide, you can get plus what 160 today. You probably get more plus money the next day. Like baseball is not a immaculately perfect game. These guys go on a run, and sometimes they take a dip.
Yep. I'm looking at the Dodgers bullpen, and do you think the new? I guess if there is a weakness on the Dodgers, it's Kenley Jensen. But I mean,
Yeah, that guy.
but
I mean, he
he's
used to be so good. I think he just kind of, you know what? He probably bought one of them little fancy homes and stuff, and now he just think he all fancy now. So I think it's reflecting in his game because he used to be a little bit reliable, but that's out the window.
But how is he, like blowing the saves when the last three games he's entered, three and a third innings, one hit, one run, one earned run, two walks, seven strikeouts.
Oh,
There's
that's
only
now.
there's only two
Give
outs
him
that
some
weren't by
time.
strikeout.
Hey, give him some time. He'll know how to mess it up. He does it every year. When we really need it, oh yeah, give him some time. Don't let the numbers fool you right now. You gotta remember there's two elements to
Yeah,
the
that's
game. We
true.
got the numbers, and then we got the real life people that these people are. And like we all could agree, the best edge you can have is being right there in each locker room and know the temperament of the players before the game because that's where all the energy comes from. These are all professional athletes. That's what some people fail to realize that. Like, and that's one thing that kind of sometimes bother me, especially with a lot of handicappers. Like when we don't feel good about a player, like me not feeling good about Jensen, we'll bash them so tough. You know what I mean? We'll bash them or whatever. But we gotta remember these are elite athletes still to make it that far. Like nobody accidentally makes it that far. So they still have professional qualities and they can play good games at any time. So I do apologize, Jensen, but you hurt my heart in some games. So as a fan, I can say it.
Yeah, it's all good, man. And you
Yeah,
also have that guy, David Price, lefty, in the bullpen.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah.
I've had a couple discussions off air, off the shows of like what how they're going to use him, and is it going to be just strictly lefty lefty, or is he actually just being groomed for when the rotation might have a need for him to come up and start?
Hey, the bullpen, you know, quiet as kept has been by committee all the time anyway. So it ain't no telling. We're gonna plug and play wherever they need them. You gotta remember, the Dodgers just ran on a well thought out system. They use algorithms, data, all type of things. They're one of those type of organizations. So they're gonna write it out by committee wherever the numbers pop up and say it needs to be plugged and played. They're gonna plug and play.
Yeah, what's an algorithm?
An
Yeah,
algorithm
you,
is,
you said something about an algorithm.
hey man, you know those algorithms. Everything's ran on the algorithm nowadays.
Yeah, it sounds like something that Apple would invent for the watch. No, I'm just kidding. Everybody knows I'm a data guy, so
I know,
you
I'm
know.
messing. The algorithm, that's what they said. That was one of the reasons why they got Dave Roberts, because Dave Roberts was willing to coach the team and comply with what they thought was best in the algorithm. But I mean,
Yep.
it did take a little time, but look at the team they have now. Everybody's gonna throw salt that it was a pandemic year when we finally got it, but keep throwing salt when you go back and find out that the Astros cheated, and all that other kind of stuff. So slowly they've been using the algorithm, just using the data, and making the best moves for the organization, and they have a well thought out team.
Yeah, it's I mean, even when you look at the injury list, it's a potential core unit to have another franchise. You got Cody Bellinger. He's out
Yeah,
indefinitely with that hairline fracture in his left leg from that first base incident. Mookie Betts. Have you guys ever heard of Mookie Betts? Well,
man.
this hat, you should know Mookie Betts, right? Now, he's
And I,
questionable for tonight.
I
So
think
he it looks like,
he's the greatest player in baseball right now, to me.
yeah, I no argument from me. Yeah, the Red Sox had to take care of the payroll and manage the some fiscal responsibility, I guess.
Hmm.
But look, they're in first place now too. I mean,
Yeah.
it's chemistry. You get guys together in a locker room; they like each other for the most part. You don't have to go to the same bars or the same restaurants or the same clubs with each other. I mean, but if you like each other inside the stadium, it's huge.
Yeah, it
And then
pays
you have
off.
Caleb Ferguson. He's actually out for the season with Tommy John. Uh,
Hmm.
Tony Gonsolin, another starting pitcher, shoulder.
A
He's
good
listed on the
one.
10-day.
He's gonna be good to have in the stretch.
Yeah, yeah. And then some guy named Joe Kelly.
And,
You know,
and I believe too, a part of the Dodgers plan, and of course the pandemic year helped them. It was longevity though. We've always had a lot of weapons. It was all about having those weapons in September and October when you need them, and that's where we were falling short. So now, a guy gets any kind of injury. I'm a great big conspiracy advocate for the fake injuries just to give the guy a little rest. There's no reason to have all those dudes on the field at one time if you got such a stacked team. I mean, come on. Any other team with Mookie Betts, they're like, come on, really? Can you play? We really kind of need you out there. On a team like this, Mookie Betts can say, I'm gonna be over there for the day. But that's a luxury of these well thought out teams, man. Like you said, even with the move of them getting Mookie Betts, those are calculated, thought out decisions that modernized, compliant, innovative companies like the Dodgers go and they find those little nooks and crannies and look at it now. I think
yep.
Mookie Betts wasn't even supposed to be here this long and decided to stay longer.
Yeah, and then last but not least, talking about rotation, starting pitching rotation. He won't pitch this year, but James Paxton. I
Mhm.
mean, it's just scary.
Yeah,
It's just
but
absolutely scary.
there's with enough respect to all the baseball players and all the other leagues and all that kind of stuff. Like it's probably just gonna be come more popular through more proactive teams that are gonna get these type of marketing, get these type of executives in there that can come up with these algorithms and data plans to be able to input this kind of stuff. So it's just the beginning of the future. You know what I mean? And
Yep,
hop along, enjoy the ride, bring a notebook, pack a sandwich,
yep.
and the IPA.
I did find one cool fact here about the Dodgers. They're 0-4 in their last four interleague road games versus a left-hander, and that's pretty much meaningless. I mean, it's like saying the Phillies are 5-0 in game times that start at 105 if they took the team bus to McDonald's. It has no bearing whatsoever.
Hey, I'm a firm believer of that nowadays too. They can make a stat out of anything. Like
Yeah, exactly.
you can make a stat if you really want to figure out something to say. When nine
I
players put ketchup on their fries, you know they're gonna win.
Yep. Or if Clayton Kershaw didn't walk his dog before the game, uh, he feels guilty about it and he pitches like shit. I mean, who knows? But
Yes, you can make.
with my database, I can come up with all kinds of silly
Hey, but
things.
at least with your database, it's been proven over years and years and years and years and years. Some of this stuff they just putting it together, all data, no human factor involved. It's just all data.
Yeah, it's the statistic is called the p-value. It's the z-score on steroids.
Yeah.
And the p-value, again from the 4:30 show where the guys want me to change it to the JR value.
The
Because
JR
p-value,
value.
like if you're in a pub and you say a p-value and it gets overheard by other people, it might be completely misunderstood. The
Yeah.
JR value, you know, just saying, in the world we live in,
Wow.
so I guess it's the JR value now.
The JR value. Hey, keep it authentic. Signed, sealed, and
Yeah,
delivered. The JR value. I like.
and I noticed it.
I preferably like the nickname the Wizard because I remember way back in the day they used to
Yeah,
have like a science show that came on for kids late, and it was like the Wizard. They used to do all these different cool stuffs. But I like the nickname the
yeah.
Wizard.
I watched that show too, and that was a pretty cool show, especially when he did the volcano thing and it would blow up.
Yeah,
I
yeah, the
mean, that
Wizard.
was next to the erector set, that was about the best thing in our childhoods, right?
Yeah,
I'll tell you
for
what.
real.
Yeah, it was catching on that football show we did. I guess that's where the chat room was starting to call me the wizard, and yeah,
Yeah,
there's
they
a lot
were
of
they
things you could be
were
called, and as long as they're not negative
Yeah,
or
man, it's all fun and
degrading,
games. Yeah, that's it's a good thing for a good long time now in the chats. We haven't had too many people really messy or
No,
spoil it all, but back in the day they used to be throwing all. I've been called all kinds of stuff, heckled and all that good stuff. So it's all fun, man. If
yeah,
they're
it
doing all
is.
that kind of stuff, they're watching. So that's fine with
Yep,
me.
yeah, that is true.
Just don't come to my door.
That's right. So moving on to the next game here. Uh, that you like, we have the Milwaukee Brewers at the San Diego Padres. We have Milwaukee 9-7 against San Diego 10-8. And I couldn't believe how San Diego celebrated after they finally beat the Dodgers. It literally was like they had just advanced in the playoffs.
Hey,
But I mean, there's
you
a long way to
remember what
go.
I said the last show, right? About big brother, little brother, right? So what
Yep,
happens when
yep,
little brother wins? He tells the whole family he beat big brother.
yep. Several times at dinner, and then during the TV show, and the next day.
It's
But it
absolutely
looks
little
like
brother won.
this is a game that I think personally, just looking at the edges, I'm willing to back Milwaukee a little bit. I'm going to wait for your input, of course, but the key stats, most of the majority of them are pointing towards Milwaukee. Um, Runs per game, first 5 innings, Milwaukee ranks 17th, San Diego 18th. Runs per game in the last 4 innings, Milwaukee 12th, San Diego 16th. On base percentage overall, San Diego is fourth best, and that's still a stat. I don't care about how long this launch angle stuff remains in baseball, or the fact that players, when they have the whole left side of the infield open because of a shift, have too much pride to just slap one down the third base line. That's the thing with the shifts. I've never understood. I mean, is it embarrassing to slap one down on the ground and get a hit? If I'm batting
Everybody
210
want to
with
see home runs nowadays. They want to see home runs.
that in the launch angle actually is stupid, to be honest with you, because I've coached a lot of baseball, and I grew up with the Charlie Lau swing, which was A-Rod, and George Brett was part of that, and then there became the rotation swing, which was keeping both hands on the bat. The Charlie Lau swing was the release, and the ball, the bat stays in the strike zone a lot longer when you swing level, and home runs are generated by backspin. And yeah, sure, a launch angle will make it go higher and farther when you catch it, but it also makes it very hard to barrel the bat. You don't see Mike Trout doing the launch angle. You don't see Bryce Harper doing the launch angle. You don't see Otani doing the launch angle, and they're the top three right now in exit velocity. Not exit velocity, actually the percentage of contact where they get the best part of the bat on the ball. They're the top three, and it'll remain that way because when you uppercut, you're going to bat 200 with 30 home runs. And I get it. You're going to get paid, $8 to $10 million a year, and I understand. I probably would do the same thing, but just saying. I think I'd rather be like Trout and Harper though, and signing $300 million contracts, which I don't think there's too many of those launch angle guys that have, other than the ones that are on the Yankees, and the Yankees are kind of a team in trouble. But back to this game, Milwaukee, San Diego, we have Corbin Burns, 1-1, 0.49 ERA for the Brewers, going up against Chris Paddock, 1-1 with a 4.15 ERA for the host team, San Diego Padres. The Padres definitely have the edge in the pitching by far. They're actually number one in Major League Baseball with opponents on base percentage plus slugging percentage. For the entire staff at starters and bullpen at 598, which is quite good. So what do you think about this game, DJ?
Well, see, in this one, I don't see too much that bad in Barnes, anyways. He's went out 3 times this year. He's pitched 6 innings each time. He's only gave up 1 home run. Well, a total of 4 hits. He's doing really well right now. I don't think he's going to be a problem.
Is.
I think everybody knows it's reflected in the line. So this is one of those games where, hey, the book did have to work for you. They're telling you right here with the 7 that it should be a tight game. But I feel contrarian is weird. I feel contrarian in the fact that I don't think it's going to stay under. I think that those Padres bats can get hot at any seconds. Nothing for them to put 4 runs up in the inning or something crazy. And once if the Brewers jump out on top, even by 2 runs early, it's going to cause San Diego to score 9 runs. So I think this game could get out of hand late. So I'm not too dialed in on the under, even in the first five on this one. I want to stay all the way off the total. But then on the side, now the Padres are very public play right now at 63%. And I usually like being on the contrarian side of that. Like, the high 30s and
Yep.
early 40% side is the most comfortable side. So I had a talk with my man Noli Knows on this one this morning. He already shot me down one time, but I don't like switching back on my angles. I kind of feel this one right here. I like taking San Diego and making it a public play right here.
Yeah, big shout out to Noli Knows because he too is going to be a guest on this show, making his debut either later today. I don't have the schedule in front of me that I put together. It's either later today or tomorrow. I think it's actually tomorrow. So big shout out to Noli Knows, who's I think he patented it for his own intellectual property protection, but he has made unders great once again. So
Yeah.
hope he's listening out there. If he's not, we'll
Noli's
get him to
Noli's
listen.
my he's my neighbor, man. He's not too far from me right here. So we I think and I want to tell that to all you sports bettors out there. It's nothing. I mean, when you sports bet, not a lot of family and friends are all going to be sports bettors or anything like that. But you got to have that one or two people that you can give a call, or you can say, hey, man, what you think about this? What you think about the line? And, talk some of these plays over, like John Ryan mentioned, I don't even know what the play was, but he said he had a big play in basketball last time I was on the show. I didn't even stick around and get the play. It was supposed to be the 10 unit bam bam. But
Oh,
it's always good to talk those things over and hey, I've won a lot of bets coming out of conversation, even if we're on the different side. But if you feel strong, if I'm talking to you and I feel so strong and adamant about it, you're going the other way. And sometimes it makes me feel more strong in the bet, and that's when I
yep.
take that side. So this one right here, I'm going against family and friends, and I'm going for the public side, and I'm gonna leave the total alone, even though the totals has already a little built-in whisper with it because it's already so low.
Yep. And
But what you
yeah,
think?
what
You
was that?
said you already leaning Brew Crew too.
Yeah, and you are also right.
No, I'm leaning San Diego.
Oh, Noli's leaning
No, Noli told me it
Milwaukee.
was a no go. He said, "Well, he's
Oh,
not
no go.
taking the play. He wasn't necessarily even interested in the game. He just said, the look that you like, I don't like." And I'm like, "Well, I still like the look. I think,
Yep.
they just beat Big Brother. They got to carry that energy forward. And here's another spot for them to light it up."
Yeah, you're right about the Big Brother thing. It's comical though, but it's very accurate.
Hey man, you gotta
Very
be on
accurate.
top of these teams, man. You know from being a great NBA better that you gotta be on top of the temperament and what's going on. Like, when it comes down to NBA, these, like you said, they had cheeseburger with ketchup, their shooting percentage goes down.
Well,
So, that kind of
that
stuff.
would for anybody. I eat McDonald's. I can barely even walk, but it
But
tastes
yeah,
good.
all those different things play X factors in the game, and that's not even to mention how it plays a factor in college sports. Now, that's times 10.
Yeah.
If they
Yep.
got enough fine chicks at the beginning when they walk through the tunnel, lights out.
Yeah. I'll own up to this. You mentioned the 10 unit play, and it was the first one in a long, long time. And it was the 76ers against the Nets. And it was also the same night that I have David Behrman on from ESPN, and he's the deputy editor of sports content for ESPN. He's also the creator of the Daily Wager Show that is Monday through Friday, I guess Monday through Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So they launched their first live in-game betting show, and it was awesome. It was absolutely awesome.
Nice.
What wasn't awesome is that I was on the Sixers and feeling pretty good with 6 minutes and 28 seconds to go and a 22-point lead. Didn't cover.
Wow.
Yep, didn't
That's
cover.
that's that's basketball for you though. Basketball, the line in basketball. If it was profitable just to bet only money line bets in basketball, it would be more of a nice way to bet it. But because sometimes it's just no money in betting money line, you gotta go play the points, and those points, these
Yep.
people get paid the big bucks to set those lines right where they crack, and you gotta be on the right side of it.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
used to. I still say, DJ, like some days you're the dog and some days you're the fire hydrant, and the goal is to be the dog most of the time.
Yeah, yeah, for real, for real.
But
But that
this
was a nice
guy from
call though.
Milwaukee,
It was close though. That line was like 8.5 or something, right?
yeah, it was. I got it at 7.5. Went as high as 9. Backed off to I think 8 or 8.5 at game time.
Yeah, and it landed on like
Um,
6 or something like that.
yeah, 6. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
I remember that one.
some
I,
meaningless threes. Just stupid,
you,
absolutely
we
stupid
didn't even
loss.
we didn't even discuss that one. We didn't even discuss that one on the show. But when
Nope.
I took a glance at that one, I said that 9 points looked a little too high. Well, because it was originally like 9 or something. Or it was up there or
It
8.
opened
Something. It was
at
up there.
5.5,
Oh, it
and
was
then Harden
lower.
wasn't playing. Harden wasn't playing.
Oh,
KD
it
wasn't
shot
playing, and only
right,
Kyrie.
right, and it shot up. Yeah, I
Yeah, it
think
just yeah,
I wanted to say I saw it somewhere at like 9.5, and I was like, wow, that's outrageous. Like, but that's the thing, like, because I was the whisperer on the Lakers for a little while, and that's the thing in our betting communities and all these shows and all these talks and all this media that we gather our information from, they focus on what brings more content to what they're doing. So the injuries, being able to say KD is injured, Harden is injured, that's going to be on the news all day. That's more stuff you could talk about, and they make it seem so bad. But back to what I was saying earlier about professional players, these guys on these basketball teams are still professional players. If you look at the Lakers lineup um without LeBron and AD, there's still a decent competitive group of professional basketball players who can still go out and win games. And
yep,
they proved that a few times. And even, as horrible as it looks, when you're thinking of what all the Nets have and that they're missing Harden and Durant, you gotta look at what they still got left. They still got people on the floor that can win games, and that's where the lines become blurred in there.
yep,
So I think a lot of NBA bettors I know have been jumping too hard on what the lineup is and who's playing instead of hey, who's playing? Who's playing is what's important, not who's out, who's playing. How can we match up who's playing? I think it may be more value to look at it as who's playing because everybody's already distracted about who's out. Can this guy that's coming in give 70%? Can they? I mean, those daily fantasy bettors, they think about that. Those guys that take props, they think about when other guys go out, other guys play better. So if you got to put all that together and say, hey, wait a minute, this team is not this much of a dog, or this team shouldn't be favored. So I don't know, but basketball is a tough sport for me. I can't take those losses like you can with that. That would have drove me crazy because they still got away with the win. I felt better if they lost and didn't cover than if they win and I still don't cover it. 'Cause especially in a game where they were up, like you almost counted the money on the right side of your brain, but the left side is the final decision, and it goes the
yeah,
other way, man.
exactly.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, I think the
But
right side is the feminine side, and the other side is something else. But I know the feminine side is when I think out of that right side, if that's the feminine side, I'm much smarter. I don't do foolish things, and
yeah,
I generally make the right bet. I'm kind of
yeah,
kidding, but
yeah. I know what you're
you know
saying.
my theory that if we yeah, we're guys, and
Yeah,
I've always
and
believed that women are the better species, the smarter, they have better common sense. You know,
yeah. That's another thing I was discussing with Noli earlier. I was talking about uh, a lot of guys who bet. It all comes down with emotion and being able to sustain a loss or being able to take the win. Both ways it goes. Like people like myself who find I find it great to take the first inning no score. Emotionally, if they score on the first pitch and a home run, emotionally I can handle that. I'm there for the ride of that adrenaline rush for that first inning. I'm there for it. Whatever happens,
Yep.
happens. But there's people that can't sustain that. They're like, oh, the whole thing was over and it just started, and I'm already out the game. I already lost money. That drives people different with a different temperament. So I think a lot of these bets come down to emotions, man. You have to be able to control your emotions and be able to take the wins and the losses, man. But my guy John Ryan, man, he has his own system. He can take any win or any loss.
You know, I don't take compliments very well, as you know, so I get a little, you can tell I'm a little antsy, but I appreciate it, DJ. I feel the same way about you too, brother. Yeah, we started together about a year ago, and now we're
Look
on
at us
a
now. We
platform.
rolling.
Yep, and
Hey,
I
here
founded
for
this
you.
platform. I owned a platform, so you're on, man. No matter
Hey,
what.
man. Hey, I'm here for you whenever you want me to come on and have some fun. If I got the time, I'm willing to hang out with you, man. Discuss. As you can see, I love talking sports. I love giving picks and all that, but I'm more in tune to, the whole process because I've been doing this for a long time. Like a good win, a good plus 1,000 win, or you did those things before. Like what's more important is the learning process.
Yep.
the adrenaline rush with the bets, and even with entering this platform that we on now, like your free plays, the plays you put out, like that's a whole nother adrenaline rush, and there's a whole nother thought process. There's a lot that goes in with that. That's why we all get along with each other pretty well, because we all that. And that's one question I had for you today. I thought about that earlier today, because most cabbers that I know that I've met and everything, and I be around them for a while, some of them will admit, but some of them won't, that we're all superstitious. What's your superstitious?
I am the guy that Brad Pitt plays in the beginning of Moneyball. So, yeah, because of time. I mean, we work our butts off on this. You and I, and most of the time, I do not watch the games. It's my time to get away from it. But I do
Interesting.
watch the condensed versions. I will have the audio on my phone if it's a big one. Even if I don't have money engaged in the game. If it's a big college football game like that LSU Florida game
Oh
that
yeah.
you and I will never forget because somehow I obviously wasn't thinking with the right side of my brain when I said on that show that plus 27 and a half LSU was going to beat Florida. But they did.
Yeah.
But with the watching the games and stuff, I'm the guy, Billy Bean sitting in the stands, and he has his radio, and he clicks it on. It's near the end of the game, and this is, I swear to you, I've been doing this way before Moneyball was even a movie. And
Oh
I'll turn it
wow.
on, and like, oh, the Sixers just scored. Click, and say I'm betting the Sixers and they're playing the Celtics. So I don't want to whammy it. I don't want to jinx it. I don't want to hear it because if I listen the last couple of minutes, they're probably going to lose. And there's no reason for me to think like that, right? But then
Right.
I'll click it on again. Jason Tatum, a 3-pointer. It's good. Click. Then I count like 30 seconds. I feel, well, it must be down to like the 8 seconds. Click. And that's how I am.
Oh, that's safe. I
But
like that as a safe where sometimes I do that with games I can't watch by on my phone checking the scores as they go or try to watch it real time like that. Yeah, but sometimes it feels superstitious even checking it. You just want to let it play out and hear the. But I get it a lot. But mine's, I'll tell you, one of my superstitious things that I have now, and it's actually to get over my superstitious, but I actually keep $2 bills, man. I have quite a few $2 bills right here, man. I keep these in my wallet, and I could tell you big stories about. I used to be very superstitious to having $2 bills. Like I've tore them up, I've thrown them out the windows. I used to look at them as bad luck. And one day I just woke up and said, you know what, I'm not gonna be in superstitious fear of anything, let alone a $2 bill. And I was happened to been cashing a large check too. And I told the teller, I seen a couple $2 bills, and I thought she was gonna give them to me. I said, you know what? Let me get those. And I grabbed about 4 or 5 $2 bills, man. I keep them with me, man. Every time I have my $2 bills, I feel better about even being superstitious at the time. I know superstitious is just it's just your mind working against yourself. Like we have no listening to the game or not listening to the game has no predictive outcome. But so it's all unnecessary. And guess what? We
Silly.
way stronger. We way stronger than that. Even just
That's
because
true.
we can handle wins and losses, which a lot of people can't do, and have the nerve to come back for more each day, even after losses. So we can sustain all that stuff, and the superstitious stuff is a little bit extra. But hey, it's nothing wrong with it, man. Like when I'm winning, I might not walk on one side of the TV. I might not watch it in a certain room. I might. It's all kinds of stuff that go. I'm I'll go back to our conversation about your bet. You never gave it to me, and you were like, but you can't bet it because if you bet it, it's gonna mess up. And I said, oh, I respect that 100%, man, because
Yeah, that's
everybody
right. I
has a
did.
little
I yeah.
superstitious.
I guess that my intentions was to wait till later in the day, and later in the day, it gets away from you. But
Oh,
I'm actually glad I didn't give it to you because it didn't cover.
you should
But
have gave it to me. It
OG,
probably would have covered.
one of our loyal followers here, OG Wham, uh, gave us a big shout out there in the chat room to get people to, give us the love, take a second and click on that like button.
No.
We want to get that thing as high as possible. Maybe tomorrow I'll say if we get 100 likes, you get my premium card for free, the whole thing. Maybe that'll provide some
There you go.
motivation there. But I like this question he has for us. Do you think sports betting will become as big as poker? And my answer, and I think DJ's going to agree with me, it's actually bigger already. And it's because of the super contest that's held at the Westgate and because of Circa Millions. So this is one of the crazy things that I do where I have the last 11 years of the super contest, which is a contest where you have to pick 5 NFL sides, no totals, for every single week. And that is a very difficult endeavor, and it's a totally different animal when you are coming down the stretch, like my buddy Ira Silver, who does NHL hockey show with me at 3:45 every day. He was in the hunt, and what becomes a major factor when you're in the hunt in those last 3 weeks is that you're not necessarily picking games that you think are going to cover. That's not the number one priority. The number one priority is to pick up a team that the guys that you have to jump over is not going to be picking. Because if you pick the same game and you're on the same side, you cannot make any ground up in 3 weeks. But anybody who hits 60% for 17 weeks, picking 5 games and only 5 sides, that's outstanding. So Las Vegas Chris, matter of fact, on Wager Talk, he was trying to get on the show, the pub show, at the end of the day at 4:30, but I think he's coming on today at 4:30. So he came in second place in the Circa Millions, and I think second place was like 1.1.
Wow.
And to hear that discussion and the thought process and the sleepless nights, because when you're in that kind
Yeah.
of realm. So anyway,
Hey,
the Circa
it's got to
Million
be a
had
little bit of luck in
35.
there too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you win the hook games.
Yeah, got
You
to be a little
absolutely win
luck.
the hook games to get up that high. If you're disciplined, you have a really good chance of cashing. But now with the advent of legalized betting in so many states, and it's going to be 50 states eventually. There's going to be a lot of amateur money coming into those contests, which is going to make the pools even bigger.
Yeah.
The pandemic hurt the super contest because they really didn't have a contingency plan in place. I didn't play it this year for the first time in quite a while. So yeah, they only had 1,200 entries at $1,500 an entry. They usually have 30 about 3,300. Circa
Hmm.
had close to 4,000 entries, and that was, I think, $1,000 an entry, if I remember right. So those two contests alone, are going to dwarf the World Series of Poker. And World Series of Poker, great event, $10,000 entry for the big event, and they have many,
Yeah.
many events leading up to that big event. But with legalized sports betting, every single state is going to have their version of the Super Contest and the Circa. So if you're in Pennsylvania, Philadelphia area, Parks Casino, I'm sure will run an NFL contest this coming football season. So if you're in that
Oh
area, be
yeah.
sure to look for it. But that's my answer to OG Wham, and thanks again, OG Wham, for don't hurt anybody in the chat room to get them to like, but I
And
kind of like it that
subscribe.
he's like
Don't forget
he's
to
like the
subscribe
enforcer
too.
in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Matt here makes a good point too. I want to show this one before we sign off here. Mobile and live betting are huge contributors. Yep, because the way the
Yeah.
contests run now, you need a proxy service unless you're in Vegas, which adds another contingency problem because you know I've heard nightmares where some of these services just have trouble getting to the window on time, and the picks don't get entered, and
Mhm.
it's much better to
Yeah.
just go in your app and be able to go bang 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 and you're done.
Yeah.
Then it's all on you.
Yeah. Because
But
even in Vegas, for a long time in Vegas till now, you had to have somebody that would go in there and put those in each week for you to be in those contests. That's what we're right here in California, and it's not that far. But it's like I've seen way back in the day, like they've had guys that were all together that took turns because it was only like some of those contests are like $50 to enter at the beginning, and that's it.
yep,
But then they would take turns riding back and forth each week for somebody to put the bets in, and for everybody contest. Because I think the way it goes, you had to sign up, so only one person can put bets in for you. So it wasn't like you could have somebody in Vegas put 3-4 guys bets in for the week. You couldn't do it like that.
right,
So people were actually taking that trip from LA to Vegas every weekend to be in those I mean, it's really not that bad because it only lasts for about 4 months or something like that, or till you out of it. But
yep,
yeah, those things are great. I think that the contest is where it's at. That's a big part of my thinking behind my MLB contest that I have right now. Mind you, follow me on Twitter. Today's the last day to get in. But that's more of a sports handicapper contest. Like people don't speak the same language we speak when it comes to
yeah,
betting and value and betting and stuff like that. So for the gambling Twitter community that's right here, and not until we start putting them in contests and figuring out who's really really good, and some people who thought they were good figure out, oh, I'm not really that good. But you know I think it's a great thing for everybody to get involved with. I mean, but real cappers, you're not going to take a
yep,
contest as serious as your real bets. You know what I mean? Like there's different strategies that go behind winning the
absolutely,
contest when you're in those things. Because I've been in there. I've ranked high in a few contests on SBR and a couple other places. But the contest is a whole nother beast. But it's really good practice for you as a sports bettor, because sometimes you're a little better than you thought you was. Like you may only play 3 plays, but in the contest, you may have to put up maybe like 6 plays a day, or if it's football, you might have to lay all 9 plays out in one day, and you find out that hey, I went 7-2, or I did something awesome. So those type of things do help the evolution of the game itself. But I'm waiting for it to get real sports betting overall, they're winning because you got Fox Bet, they got these little questions, you got fantasy. I mean, everybody's been doing the little squares and all that stuff for years. But as far as the actual sports bettors like ourselves, I think we still have a high ceiling to go from here, but we're not there yet. We're everybody on Twitter and everywhere basically just kind of does whatever they want to do, and some people, whoever you like, you follow, and you may tell them, you may buy their
Yep.
service, whatever. Just kind of do what you want. But when they start having more contests for sports bettors to know, like, okay, this guy won this contest about overs, unders, first innings, all this kind of stuff. I think it'll get a little more intense on gambling Twitter and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't agree more. So for the show recap here, DJ, we have best bets, no score, first inning on the Angels,
That's me. I
and
like that
then
one.
what was your pick in the Dodgers game?
Dodgers, I'm gonna stay off, but I would say what I'm doing with the Dodgers game, I'm staying off to see if we can catch another trend where they go on like a five
Yep,
game winning streak or something like that. So right now they're coming off two
smart.
losses. If I was gonna do anything right now, I would fade them. If I had a little money I wanted to throw, and make a little something bigger because of the line, now would be the time to do that. Maybe even in the first half because it's an early game for them, and they may not be prepared in the first half like that. So I would say look for the Mariners early if you want to have some action on the game. It's really a pass for me. I'm waiting to see if the Dodgers are going to get back on track, and I want to jump back on the train. Or I'm looking
Yeah,
for
that's
a new
smart.
train. If y'all see a new train going out there, anybody with 3 or 4 wins or so, let me know. I want to hop on that train too.
Yeah, love it, man. And then
Yeah.
I think you like the Padres last.
I like the
Or,
Padres.
yep,
It's a public pay. It's very contrarian to people like yourself who lean the Brewers. Like I said, Noli said don't do it. Not to say that he leans the Brewers, but he said don't do it. But me, I really like this one right here. And it has to do with them beating Big Brother. Um, they in second if they got to keep it up there. Like they got to play with some type of intensity. And these guys pop 4 or 5 runs in an inning out of nowhere. Seventh inning, bam, 4 runs,
yep,
they're up. So these guys right here are nothing to play with. They're very streaky, and they got a chance with Paddock out there.
yep, indeed. I love it, DJ. So I guess we'll conclude the show here for now.
All right, man. It's been a full
Uh,
hour, man. I love hanging out with you, man. I like the new place. We looking good on here. So make sure
yeah,
y'all give me a follow, man. And make sure
yeah,
y'all
absolutely. You got to
subscribe
follow
to
DJ if you're not following him already, for sure.
yeah, make sure
It's
you follow
a follow you will not
John Ryan.
regret.
And subscribe to John Ryan's channel as well.
Yeah, I appreciate that too. It just everybody watches it on Twitter, which I get, and it's easier to do that. It's Twitter
Yeah.
live and it's the old Periscope, and I get it. But we're trying to do both. There's simulcast both, and LinkedIn's going to be starting up pretty soon,
There you go.
where we can do live shows on LinkedIn, which is you have to get approval for that. So I have to promise that I'm not going to have anybody on the show that's going to swear or degrade or anything like that. And then they do
Yeah.
the checks, and it's good. It's all good.
There you go. There you go. Well, shoot,
Uh,
have me back on for LinkedIn too. I got this nice sports book that I'm at right here. They'll like that.
yeah, yeah, I love it, man. Yeah, you can see the TVs moving in the background. It's awesome. But
Yeah.
no, DJ will be on mainly at 11:30 in 11:30 a.m. slot Eastern Standard Time, noon slot. So you can expect, you can plan on seeing him. So that makes it easier to plan for it. And they're always archived too. If you get tied up in a meeting or something, they're archived forever on Twitter and YouTube. So, Predictive Playbook channel is there for you as well. So for DJ, thanks for being on. Myself and the Predictive Playbook, may all the wins be yours.